Hi, Dan McConnell from United Modern Artists. This is Scott May. Scott's been training with me for quite some time. And what we just looked at was 4 different sort of methodologies using one conceptual motion. The initial motion something I took from Aikido. I've been involved with Aikido for almost 25 years. But there's a correlation and a cross-lapping and a connection between most systems. So what I'm trying to show here today is the similarities and the cross-connection between systems such as Aikido, Filipino martial arts, Silat, and other types of motions. Just to show that if we get stuck doing one thing one way all the time, we learn that system's set of parameters, and those parameters may not fit every situation depending on what's going on. Also, if you want to have a choice of whether or not to be terminal in your movement or not, you have to know. If you don't know, you can't choose. So it's a good idea to cross-reference as many systems and as many ways of movement as you can, embrace as many as you can get a hold of, and keep what works for you and discard the rest. So the first movement that we were looking at in Aikido is called Irimi Nage. And initially, Scott's motion is going to be an overhead attack in this direction. It may not be a really common attack out on the street unless somebody has an axe or a claymore and they're trying to cleave you in twain. But what it shows you is that you need to time your motion, so it teaches you footwork, body position, ranging, and other things. It also helps you learn to read the other person's body motion. So as Scott begins his movement, I can't wait until he's past 12 o'clock with his motion. Because once he's past 12 o'clock, it's power, power, power all the way through. And if he's bigger than me and I'm trying to catch this or time this, I'm going to get crushed. So 2 things happen. One is, as Scott initiates his movement, I get off the line and I bring my arm up the same way Scott does. So we look like we're doing the same thing. This way. So he attacks. I move in. The next movement I'm going to make is a turning motion, and this hand is going to make a strong cut down. What that cut down does is bring Scott down and begin his turn. The rest of the turn happens because I'm turning. So I'm connecting with his motion and bringing his head to me so that when his bottom catches up with his top, that's when I make this throw. So that's a long version of that particular motion called the Irimi Nage. There's a short version. In the short version, we're going to look at just off of a straight punch. As he makes his straight punch, I still can't wait until he's halfway through his motion before I decide to do something. So as he comes in, I need to move off of that line. So my footwork is going to be out and in. My hand motion is going to be a pari. This hand is going to make that same sort of a Irimi Nage motion. It's almost like a figure 8. So if this is Scott's attack, this hand is going this way, so that I can keep his elbow out of the way and turn his body so that I can make this throw. My other hand at the same time is going from pari to his hip, and I'm pushing his hip in. So it's pari, make this motion so it turns him a little, and push his hip in, which breaks his posture and disrupts his base. From that position, you can do an Aikido movement, which is oftentimes, but not always, very forgiving, and just throw him on the floor. You can make more of a Silat motion, and in Silat, this wouldn't be a sort of a clothesline. It would be more of a wet rag on their face. So in Silat, I may pari, push this in, sweep his leg, and plant his head on the floor. So that you can make it rougher or not so rough, given the situation. So again, the short version is I need to get off of the line, curve this, take his hip, and then make the throw. The next thing we looked at was the same motion using canes or sticks. So the strike that Scott's going to deliver is you can call it a caveman strike, you can call it a number 1 strike, but it's just a 4-hand angular strike. As Scott makes this strike, I have to duck because my empty hand is going to pass that. If I don't duck, it's obvious what the outcome will be. My stick hand is going to hit, it can hit anywhere in here, but it's going to hit through, so I'm not wasting this motion getting to the outside. Because I'm trying to do, at the moment, I'm trying to do more damage. So as Scott makes this strike, I'm going to move off of the line, just like before. And at the same time, I'm going to parry and make this hit. When I come back, you can consider that sort of an abanico or a hirada strike. So I make this hit or cut, and then I check his elbow, once with my cane, once with my hand. I'm already in position here once I make the initial movement. I'm already in position to make a stabbing motion. But I'm going to check, check, come across. Now I can use my cane to leverage on his shoulder with my arm to expose his neck, making this choke a little bit easier. And his choke happens because I'm taking the other end of the stick and putting it under this arm. So now we have knives in our hand. This is where it gets a little bit more terminal. So we went from a theoretically very forgiving system, what can be a very forgiving system such as Aikido. We looked at different applications from a softer perspective. Then we looked at a silat application. You can make it rougher that way. Then we looked at the same motion with a cane. We made it a choke, a couple of hits and a choke. Now it gets a little bit more terminal because he has a knife. Fortunately, I have a knife in this case. Again, when you're training with your partner, you should be careful. What I'm going to do with Scott, what I'm trying to do is, I call it buttering, so I'm hitting him with the flat of the blade. I'm not really cracking his arm here with the blade portion because that hurts. So as Scott makes his motion, I still have to do the same thing that I've been doing in all the other movements, empty-handed with a cane and now with a knife. I still have to get off the line and duck and pass this. As I get off the line and duck and pass, I'm making a cut here. We can call it a gunting. And I'm cutting this nerve, so hopefully I've cut the tendon and it's more difficult for him to use that arm. On my way back, the last time with a cane, I checked this with his cane. I'm making this another cut and a check with this hand. So it's pass, cut once, cut twice, check, and then this is a cut through. It's pretty direct, it's pretty terminal, but it's all about choice, and if you don't know, you can't choose. So again, I would encourage you to explore different systems, try and open your mind enough to see the connection between the systems, and even if you pick one base system, but you explore some other systems, it'll enhance the way you move in your chosen base system, and it'll give you some other options that you may not have otherwise. So have a great day, train safe.